All right, we are now recording.
Great.
Yeah, go ahead and start, sir.
Thank you all for coming. I think most of you have been through one of these before, but this is our chance to discuss any questions that you have, address any suggestions that you might have for improving the program, and for us to give you any sort of hints or information about things that we know that might be coming down the pipeline in the next couple of years. So thanks for being here. We, as Karen said, we don't have that many questions today, but hopefully that's a chance for us to just have a more informal discussion about things that you might be interested in for the program going forward. One piece of information that you may or may not know is this will be my last town hall because Professor McCloskey is due to take over for me as grad director starting in the summer. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here today. He's got a sick kid, but we'll train him up on what to expect from the town halls. So that'll be one change to the program. Other Oh yeah, so we'll talk about that in the context of question 2.
Okay. Then I have nothing to say.
Okay. Good.
Outside of, I know you guys were all worried about my health. It's very important, and I apologize to the first year students. Or maybe you're glad that I was away, but we're alive, we're here, and
Were the macro exams easier in your absence, or were they harder in your absence?
I don't know, what was it?
Oh, a lot of people thought it was harder.
Oh yeah, it was harder. Oh my God, I'm an asshole. You have to be in my defense. I had a brain injury, so. I apologize. You guys were troopers though, so it's great. We'll do wonder for my evaluations. We're good to go. Plus anyway, now you have Alessandro, so all good. Okay.
Cool. All right, so let's jump into the questions, and then we can have a broader discussion about things that are on your mind, if that makes sense. So just 3 anonymous questions submitted. So the first is, can you update on the funding outlook for 6 years in 2025-2026 academic year? So as you know, we've had this structural change dropped upon us by the division. That has, so this change, if you missed it, basically is a trade-off. Right? It's a guarantee of 5 years of funding. Awesome, right? That makes your lives better. In the old days, if you failed one of the prelims, if you got some bad grades, if you sort of, fell out of our good graces for one reason or another because of sometimes things outside of your control, you'd be at risk of not having full funding. So those days are gone, right? So everybody has a 5-year funding guarantee. But yet it's 5 years of funding, right? So in the past, 2 things were different. One, we had more money. That's kind of been changing over many, many years now. Our budgets for supporting graduate students have been reduced. But 2, we had more flexibility in how to use that money, right? So because there were some folks that weren't on full appointments, that means we could offer more people appointments, including many people in year 6, 7, and sometimes even year 8, right? And so that's the reality. It wasn't our choice. It's a decision that the dean made in order to be more equitable across all students. In the longer run, I think it's probably a good thing. It'll mean we admit fewer students, but then all of those students will be on a 5-year plan. So I think that helps in recruiting. I think that makes everybody's lives better while they're here. But it does create some challenges. In particular, what do we do with people in year 6, right? And so that's where this question comes from, and that's what the next question will address. So what does the outlook look like for folks in year 6? So over the past year and a half, sort of the game that we've been playing is the dean knows that during this transition period, it's tough, right? We admitted people, your expectation was it was going to take 6 years, but now we have this 5-year model. And so basically every semester, we go to the dean, hat in hand, and say, hey, you had this change. May we please have some money to fund our students who came here expecting that they would get 6 years of funding, and B, we've got all of these classes that need to be taught, and for other people, not just our majors, and we need people to do that. And so far, the dean has been really good about doing that. We got 4 positions in the fall, and then 2 positions in the spring that we subdivided up in order to give our 6 years at least some support, right, to cover tuition stipend. What does it look like going forward? By my count, we have 6 years next year. I guess there could be some folks who maybe stay if the job market doesn't work out. I'm not sure.
I think you're right, though.
But sort of like 4-ish, 6 years next year. We will do whatever we can to fund those students, but that will not. I mean, that depends on a couple of things, right? We get 47 slots from the division. So that's potentially 10, 12 people in year 6 plus who aren't covered by the allocation that we get from the college. And so, begging for money, using department continuing education money. Some folks get on grants like, Haesong's at the RDC, Michael's been on stuff at the business school with Steve Billings, right? So because of things like that, we're able to stretch our money a little bit further and support more people. But, it's kind of, we do whatever we can by being scrappy to fund as many students as we can, right? And so can we, right now, say, what it is we're going to be able to do for those 6-year students next year? We can't say yet, right? But we'll do whatever we can to try and get folks through. Right? For students in year 7 or 8, it's looking not so good, to be frank. So that's the bigger picture. I want to go to question 2, because that ties into this a little bit, and then we can stop and see if there's any big questions about the changes.
Can I just
Yeah, sure.
So it is unfortunate. It was sort of pushed upon us. It's not something we decided, and we apologize that we cannot be certain. I mean, literally. Well, we can test how good Adam is, but John has been successful at begging. I can assure you the other departments weren't. And so where does that lead us? I have no idea. And so I apologize for that. I know it creates a lot of uncertainty. And we understand the reality of doing a PhD in economics. We know time to completion. We are quite aware. But it's out of our hands, unfortunately.
Yeah, not surprisingly, economists are good at rent seeking, right? So the dean has created a system where there's some rents because there's this transitional money, and we've tried to get as much of that as we can. So, for you guys. Okay, so what does this mean, in the bigger picture, right? In the bigger context of our PhD program? Right? So again, there's some really great things about having the 5-year funding model, but the reality is dissertations have gotten more complex, right? Job market papers need to be better. The job market is really rewarding publications, right? All of this means that your odds look a lot better, right? A lot better if you have an extra year, you have a 6-year. So, maybe January, earlier this year, right, Martin formed an ad hoc committee, invited any of the faculty to join, but formed an ad hoc committee of the faculty to think about what specific changes we can make to the PhD program in order to address, right, this disconnect between sort of the 5-year plan and trying to have successful outcomes in the academic job market that tends to favor longer time to completion, right? And so we've been meeting, we have a proposal, we've brought the proposal to the executive committee, they like it so far, and then the next step is sort of to bring it to the full faculty. But the idea is to sort of add some things, and change the dissertation completion milestones to promote